Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Twilla Happy Hour podcast starring Jared Anderson and David Weiss, where if a podcast could sound like head trauma, this might be the one, or you just freeze up and sit there for a couple minutes until your congressional aides come and get you and drag you off the show.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I bet you he had too many gummies that day.
No, the concern is that he's had a mini stroke. And
who is this? I missed some drama.
McCarthy.
Yeah, he froze up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it looks like McCarthy had all the reports are is that he had like a mini stroke, and that's very concerning. You know, no one wants to see that to anyone under any circumstance.
Especially live while you're giving a speech.
Yeah. That would be sad.
Yeah. Well, today's guest is definitely not going to freeze up on you.
No.
Her name is January Walker. She's running for Congressional District Number 2 Special Elections with a third party. She is not a Republican. She is not a Democrat. January, tell us about yourself and your party.
Well, I feel like I've introduced myself so many times on this show, but let's go ahead and do it again. So my name is January. This is the person, not the month. And I left the major parties really because of this. So one, because they said at the end of the day, you vote with the party, but the question is what does that mean? And that means that really at the end of the day, it's not your rep that represents you. They have to fall in line with what the person that leads their party says to do. And that just doesn't vibe really well with me, because I think that it should always be we the people, not we the party. And the way that they control congressional representatives is to pull their funding. So if your representatives don't fall in line, they pull the funding on them, and it may not be in line with you.
Yeah, they pull their funding, or if they're in charge, they'll pull like different commission seats or whatever,
Exactly.
So they'll use whatever threat they can. And yeah, I agree that party politics, what if the party has a design that sits outside of what your constituency needs?
Exactly.
And so, yeah, that does bump into heads. So then you just got to sit silent on it and then not vote the day when that issue comes up, because your vote would go against your party.
Right.
And it would go against your constituency if you were to vote with your party. So, yeah, no, I agree.
Do you know someone that might have happened to?
It pretty much happens to every single person that's in Congress. And it was really interesting. I try and pull in a wide variety of books from groups that I don't even agree with, just to understand what it is that their perception is or what their knowledge is, and to keep myself out of those biases. And one of them came from Obama, his latest book. And he talked about, I'm forgetting the whip's name. Help me out. She's super old and everybody hates her.
Nancy Pelosi?
That's the one. Yeah.
So
that's all you had to say.
She wasn't the whip.
Or not the whip.
She was the speaker.
The speaker, pardon me. I don't know why I said speaker or why I said whip, but so she was the speaker, and I know that she keeps her party really tightly in line, and
she did. Yeah, she was very, very strong. She had been in Congress for a long time, 46 years. I mean, her and Joe Biden were competing for
everything,
for time in politics.
Right, exactly. And so she definitely keeps her people in line, just like McCarthy keeps his people in line, right? And that's the game, right? So you think that these people are supposed to represent you, but they don't. And when I was looking at how to run, because to get your name on the ballot, it's really expensive. It's like $100,000 with all the rules that Utah's put into place around signatures and everything like that, running independently, and it's really hard. So I joined up with the United Utah Party because they said they would never do that. They would trust the people that got elected to make the best decisions for the people they represented, and I have a lot of respect for that. So that's why I'm running on their ticket.
Okay, the United Utah Party. And we went during the last election, we went to the United Utah Party. The election.
The election party.
And
Yeah.
it was small, but it was interesting. I liked you had a diversity of people there. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a hippie ordeal.
I wouldn't go hippie
ordeal.
There was hippie. There was hippie.
Who was hippie?
There was also
the band up there playing.
You didn't like my band?
I love the band.
I thought they did an amazing job.
I do too.
That's why we stuck around.
What was their name?
I forgot the name of the band.
Frog Leg and Moon Willow. I can't.
Frog Leg and Moon Willow.
I've got their information wrote down, but no, they were kind of they felt like a hippie-ish indie band. I dug it.
I thought they were really good.
They were,
and they brought a nice vibe. They brought nice music. So, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. So we got to go on that. So you brought us a gift, some Crown Royal Black, and I've never tried Crown Royal Black, so I'm excited to try it. Now, normally I drink my Crown Royal mixed with water. I do a watered
You weaken
down.
your drink.
Yeah, I do a watered down Crown Royal, and then I
Okay.
sip it. I don't like to just shoot it. It seems like I waste a lot of good flavor.
I just sip it straight.
You just sip it straight.
Yeah, but I like mine watered down, half and half.
Well, I'm told with whiskey, I'm a sucker for TikTok, right? Love it, hate it. I think that TikTok has a lot of fascinating information. And on there was this video about how you should drink your whiskey. And it actually says that you shouldn't drink it straight. You should water it down to about 50 to 70%. And then you're supposed to swirl it. This really manly man just described how you're supposed to drink it. And then you are supposed to take a sip and kind of like fill the entire taste.
Yeah. Whiskey has a nice palate, but I like to half water mine. But anyways, then you also brought the mix-ins for another drink you're going to make for us on camera for us to try. While you explain to us, you're gonna be dual. What do you call it? I don't know, chewing gum and walking at the same time.
Okay, this is excellent because I'm not.
You're going to tell us
called
about
multitasking.
There's the word that I might have found.
Multitasking.
But yeah, you're gonna tell us kind of about your motivations to run, what you bring as a potential congresswoman, and
make a drink at the same time,
and kind of your goals. What are you going to go in there and try to steer this great nation towards?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
And I'll just
absolutely.
shoot questions at you.
And tell me if it's consistent, right? Because I feel like I'm nothing else if consistent.
Okay.
So I would love to hear that. But because there's this new movie out, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you a Barbie cocktail. And I've never made a cocktail in my life. So this is going to be a new experience for both of us.
A Barbie cocktail.
It's supposed to be really good.
Okay.
It got a lot of likes on it. So
Sure.
We'll start there. But first, let me tell you what's in this. So we're going to do dragon fruit. So red dragon fruit to make it red. And then I also got some glitter. So it's going to be a glittery drink. And then we'll put a nice lemon garnish on it and like some, pink sugar and everything like that. But while I tell you about this other stuff. So this is about the most cooking that you'll ever see from me.
So if it's got glitter in it, am I going to get in trouble when I go home? Like, hey, were you at the strip club?
Please.
I didn't even know that we had those in Utah.
Just let me put some glitter on his cheeks when I send him home.
So, another fun fact, I am actually like, allergic to alcohol, right?
Really?
Yeah. So I don't really drink. But I don't mind, spoiling my friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I brought a water in for you if that's what you'd rather.
I love the water.
Okay.
Right. It's better than getting drunk on camera and saying bad things.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not like I've ever done that.
No, never.
Okay, so as far as you said, why am I running? Right?
Well, actually, January, before you proceed,
Yeah.
what reaction do you have to alcohol? Is it like your throat closes up, you get hives? What should we be prepared for in the future here when you make this drink?
She goes out in the street and picks fights.
It's picks fights. No way. So an allergic reaction for me looks like my whole body burns. Like it really hurts. Like my skin burns, my muscles burn. And it's not immediate. It tends to be after, and then I just feel terrible. Like I'm told that alcohol makes you feel terrible anyways, but
Not always.
But I don't think that you should be getting muscle aches and stuff from.
Now, okay, that is quite common because alcohol does have a lot of residual sugars, and a lot of the sugars gives you kind of a crash after. But if you're feeling a burning and stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sign that it'd be rough if you had to have a Benadryl chaser.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, gentlemen.
You're good.
You're
doing great.
I have never seen a dragon fruit in the wild.
You've never seen a dragon fruit in the wild?
Nope. Just
Okay,
go ahead
I'm
and
just
throw
gonna
it
put
in
this
there.
here. We might need a
paper towel?
paper towel
I got
or
it.
some kind of
Some
napkin.
right there next to the 3D printer.
I already messed up. I thought I
Right
had
there,
this covered.
Dave. Right there.
3D printer over here.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's what an allergic reaction looks like. Yeah. So,
That'd be pretty rough.
I mean, it's not fun. It's not fun, but so
Well, I've learned that if you can learn to enjoy a get together without alcohol, I think you're truly winning.
is that how it works?
I think so. Yeah. If you have to have alcohol to enjoy, a concert or going to an activity, and you have to have alcohol to do it, you've lost the plot,
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So here's where we're at. I'm
She's-
told that we just take it and we push it in.
What was the
She's
first question?
Questioning the thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
why,
tell us.
why am I running?
Yeah.
maybe?
Tell us your motivation. We know you're a tech savvy individual.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that bring me to running. So first of all, I did run last time. I ran in the 4th district, and the 4th district is actually very similar to the 2nd as far as like demographics and needs and voters and representation. So I thought that was really, really fascinating. And there's a lot of things that I love about the 2nd district, the national parks. So I've been looking forward to going down to southern Utah every other week. So that's been a lot of fun for me. And I just think it's really nice. But when we talk about like motivations to run, like why would you switch districts? Why would you, change things up the way that you are? And why would you do it in a special election? It comes down to no matter what, people need a choice on the ballot. And a lot of people don't know that the game is rigged against them. And that either way, whoever they vote for in the major parties, it doesn't, they don't truly represent. And this is hard for me to say, this is hard for me to admit, and it's been hard for me to consume it because it still hurts even today, this recognition. But it doesn't matter if you vote Republican or Democrat, the result is going to be the same, and that is that you will not have representation. So first of all, I want people to have choices on the ballots. I want them to have choices on the ballots that will always put them first. And I also want them to have choices that aren't afraid of transparency and aren't afraid of integrity and aren't afraid of saying, I'm not in this for money, or I'm not in this for, anything other than to put you first and to make sure that your needs are always coming before everything else. And we don't have that in politics. We don't have that anywhere. And last election, even though people may look it up and they may say, oh, you only got 6.6% of the vote, that was huge. That was massive.
Mm-hmm. That was for an outside party.
Yeah.
Usually it's like 3.
Unknown runner.
If.
Yeah. 6% and your first go round.
And my first go round, and with no money, and we made national news. We got on Yahoo and in Newsweek, and we had people from around the world watching the campaign. We looked at our stats, and we reached over 100 million people, which is a lot.
Now I will say, I've noticed have you been a little quieter on Twitter this go round?
I have.
I was used to last go round. You were always on Twitter.
I know. So Twitter has kind of become like a chaotic place, and I've kind of been stepping back just to see what's going on and where things are going, because one of the last things that I did after the last campaign is I took a social media hiatus because I was always having to be online and it was really intense. And when you show up authentically for people, it's really draining and it kind of hurts. So I just took a little bit of time off and I've started to get back on it. I don't know if you've noticed that probably over the last 2 weeks I've started to tweet a little bit more.
Yeah, I haven't seen that much on Twitter. Of course, I'm not a Twitter savant. I peruse it once in a while to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have noticed you pop up there a little bit.
I think we all have to take breaks from social media in order to keep sane once in a while. I know I have my fluctuations,
I did
and
it wrong.
You can't do it wrong. You just put the
What'd you
stuff
do
in the
wrong?
glass.
Well,
It'll be fine.
I was supposed to put the sugar on the glass first.
Oh.
Nah, don't worry about
Do
it.
you guys want the pretty sugar?
We don't need the pretty sugar on the glass.
Okay, we'll just show people what the pretty sugar looked like.
So it's like a
So
cake
it's pink.
decoration sugar.
It says
it's pink
sanding sugar, but it's pink. So yeah, it's supposed to be themed.
Yeah, so it's
Do you want to know how you do that?
Oh, okay.
Dump the fruit in the other glass.
Okay.
And then you got an empty glass. Well, maybe it won't.
I failed at this.
No, it's okay.
This is a typical cooking experience for me, by the way.
January, never admit that you failed in politics.
In politics, you mean in cooking?
Cooking, politics, it's very similar.
I see.
I do like what you said there, how I'm thinking back historically, and this is something I need to look up. Like 1830, were the parties as strong, the Whigs and the Democrats versus each other?
Oh, they had to be. They were beating each other up in the Congress halls.
Yeah, but did they have the grip that they had on each other back then? Because we do know around the turn of the century and the parties weren't singly super strong.
No, they definitely weren't.
Because I mean, you had they actually had a name for them. This interesting thought. Both parties had cowboys and Northeasterners, and that was the
Cowboys and Northeasterners.
So essentially, you had four parties, and whenever you had a presidential race, if you had a cowboy running for president, they had a Northeasterner running as their vice president.
Really? I guess that definitely makes sense, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
because you had like JFK. He was considered a Northeasterner, and he had Johnson with him as the cowboy. You had Ronald Reagan and George Bush.
I like how you always know your history. I feel like I should take more history lessons on the political parties just to keep up with you on this.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes Jared's history can be a little foggy, but
okay. I mean, it probably is.
So was Ronald Reagan the cowboy, or was it George Bush?
Ronald Reagan was the cowboy, and George Bush, I mean, he's traditionally from Massachusetts.
Imagine that. Well, now he's a big oil family, and I would say they probably took the cowboy role.
They were a banker family before that. I mean, notoriously funded, a little group out of Germany, a spunky little weird mustache guy.
Yeah, well, that's how most banks start.
He actually got drug in front of Congress for it.
Well, so Twitter, TikTok, that stuff hasn't been...
Are you making TikToks?
I've kind of been making them on local stuff recently.
Yeah.
So, for example, have you had Trevor Lee on your show yet?
Yes.
Do you like Trevor?
Yeah.
I love Trevor. He's a unique one.
I'm sure he's nice, but I really dislike a lot of the things that he says and does and promotes. Like most recently... he went through and was liking posts about essentially saying that like black women, incompetent. It's like, dude, it's like you're a representative. There's a point at which that's no longer appropriate.
No, hold on. There's a post that states that if you're a black woman, you're incompetent, and he liked it.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Well, anyway, yeah, that is a post that I would probably avoid liking. because that doesn't have any
So
substance.
that goes 2 ounces of vodka, huh?
I don't know what I'm doing.
They're going deep on it. I like it.
They said pour to your heart's desires, and I know how much you guys like
no,
drinks.
two's good. Two's good. I just like it.
Should I have more?
No.
Is this illegal? Did I do something illegal?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
You can't do anything illegal with drinks in this studio. I don't.
In this studio.
The DABC does not apply here.
Okay. Perfect.
So, okay, now he was liking a post. Was that all it was about? Because I find consternation when you hear people saying I would like to see the post before I judged it. But I think
that's fair.
If in his mind he's saying black women are incompetent, I would definitely disagree with that 100%.
That's essentially how the post read, and that's how the comments that he liked read as well.
Okay.
And it was very disappointing because, like for me, it's completely unnecessary in this day and age for that stuff to happen. So a lot of my content has been focused around here's what's happening, here's what you can do, here's stuff to be aware of. So like another thing, here's another good example. We went through and because me, I'm all about technology, and there's ways that we can make.
Yeah, do you have your little robot still this go around? Is it still alive?
It's in repair.
I imagine it has to be.
Yeah.
Run that thing into the damn ground.
We put so many miles on it.
Speaking of the party.
Yeah.
Those kids that got a hold of it while we were at the party.
Yeah, the election party.
Yeah, they almost killed it.
Yeah,
those kids like.
I'm sure all the kids want to get their hands on that thing.
They were just like, one was walking it around, to follow them, and another one would jump in front and make it follow them, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I love that little robot. Did you ever hear the robot's name?
No.
We actually had a naming contest, and the robot's name is February because it follows January. Yeah,
it's a good name.
How terrible is that joke? It's pretty good though.
No, that's a good one. Okay.
Okay.
Back to substance. What are some of the things you're going now? I know quite a few of our listeners, when they hear Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain, they
pass that to you, Jared.
They get a little freaked out about it.
It's confusing to them.
It is.
It's intentionally confused to them because the government likes to put these type of propaganda labels on these things so that people don't, flock towards freedom.
Yeah. So there's so many interesting layers. So first of all, because my background is in business economics. Cheers.
This smells like
Prost, comrade.
Did you smell it yet?
Actually, I'm going to have some of this tonic water.
You should put some dragon fruit in it.
Oh, I should. Okay, yeah. I'll do that.
And you can do everything but the vodka.
I'll do that.
All right, well, I'm going to hang on to taste it until you get yours ready.
Okay, that works well for me. It might take a minute.
I was just drawn right to it.
Well, no.
You'll have to tell me if it tastes good.
I like it. It's not bad.
It's not good.
I've never seen dragonberry in the wild. But no, it is... A lot of people are nervous, and rightfully so, of the... and you forgot to put sugar on your lid.
I did.
You had one other... What is that stuff?
This is the glitter.
Oh, that's the glitter.
Do you know it's supposed to look more shimmery? So this is the first cocktail I've ever made.
No, there's plenty of shimmer in that. Anyways,
is there?
This is what it looks like, folks.
Okay.
No, you're... let's just put it like this. A lot of the messaging that comes out of the international community is pretty harrowing and dire. And I don't know if they mean to make it sound like that or...
Which part of the international community?
Let's just say the WEF when they have their Davos.
Okay.
I mean, it makes it sound like they may as well just come out and say peasants, let them eat cake.
Right. Yeah.
As they fly their private jets into this place and then come out and say, we're going to take everything away from all these bugs, these insects that annoy us.
Well, they've already taken everything away from us. Like, let's be realistic here. So let's take a step back though. So first let's go through crypto, right?
Yeah.
So, so my background is in business, economics, and finance, and with that, diversifying investments, that type of thing. Like when I look at crypto, I just look at it as another type of investment that you can diversify into. Like, should you put all of your stuff into it? I mean, like for me, I probably wouldn't, right? Like I would diversify and, do some stocks here, do some, real estate investments over there, and just spread it out a bit. But behind crypto, and this is the stuff that I really like, that is the technology. That blockchain technology actually allows us to eliminate the majority of the problems that we're seeing in government spending and making sure that people have data privacy and all this stuff that you have going through Congress, right? Like, first of all, why do we have people in Congress from like 20 years ago that defined the internet for the first time? Why are we having them define, because we went through like the second phase of the internet, that's like Facebook and stuff, Instagram. We're getting into the third phase of the metaverse. Like, why are we letting these people that don't understand how the internet even works?
Wasn't it Bob Dole got hired by either IBM or Microsoft to be their lobbyist or representative? But let's face it, he was a lobbyist. The guy fought in World War II. He didn't know what he was saying
about the internet.
But he was a guy who had all the connections.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know who Bob Dole is.
I know who Bob Dole is.
Right. He made a run for president.
Do you know who Bob Dole is?
Yeah.
Didn't he make a run for president?
Yes, he did.
Quite some time ago. Not recently.
Well, back in my day. I mean, January.
Back in your day.
You know how ancient we are?
You're like 10 years older than me. Don't give me that.
10 years is a lot. I'm learning that.
Okay.
But
all right.
So, yeah, it does give them, because let's face it, what's that guy's name? The head of the Davos group. Anyways, he may as well be a Bond villain. No shit. I mean, he wears the robes. He talks in a goofy German accent.
Does he have a monocle?
No,
he could have a monocle
with a full Manchu.
He could have a monocle.
He may as well be a Bond villain. But anyways, what I'm saying is, now mix a little bit of water in there. Just have the watered down sweetness from the drink. Oh, that's never mind. Is that a flavorless tonic?
Yeah, it's flavorless.
Okay, perfect. Then you're good.
Okay.
But anyways, so their message, the messaging that keeps coming out, and sometimes I wonder, are they messing with us?
Oh, that's not terrible.
No, it's not bad at all.
Well,
it's probably not my favorite.
I've always been a fan of dragon fruit, though. I like dragon fruit's little
seeds.
Well, I like it.
I like it. Do you like it? He hates it.
It's fine.
It's kind of a bittersweet, and I kind of like bittersweets.
Now, you got to also remember, I'm married to a Brazilian lady, so it's like dragon fruit, acai, all these tropical things. I'm quite well exposed. You'd think I'm like one of those Davos elites or something.
No, that's Germany.
I drink my.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing
fruit.
is like, don't vote for me for my drinks, right?
No, it's not bad. I mean, I would never order this in a club.
Nobody would ever vote for a cocktail waitress.
Didn't they do that? Isn't that what's her face is? AOC
Cortez.
didn't.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, and it's hard to explain crypto, but crypto I think is a key to separate yourself from the World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
and that's what they don't understand. If the people get crypto, we can separate themselves. But if we hold out and let them build their CBDCs, then they built the crypto, they control the blockchain, which means we may as well just make a bigger Fed.
Right. So for people who aren't familiar with this, you essentially have currencies that are going digital. And with that, and we're pretty much already there, right? Like a lot of our money is just numbers. It's not really printed anymore. But there's essentially a way where the government can control the cryptocurrencies. Because right now they're all decentralized. All these groups have made them. And it's actually really interesting how that's turning out, because you're seeing these third world countries rise up out of the ashes and becoming like second world countries.
El Salvador.
And they're starting to like build beautiful streets and have great programs for their neighborhoods.
Build the largest prison on earth and put anyone with a face tattoo in it. Now you 100% support
Okay, so
that.
Really, for face tattoos? There's so many face tattoos.
Did you see what the crime rates did in El Salvador? Mm-hmm. There was.
So what you mean is anybody that was a criminal, they put away.
The MS-13 had ground that country, the whole country's economy, to a halt. Mm-hmm. It had gotten that bad.
That's terrible. But they moved out of it though, right?
At least he gave him a prison, because I mean, in Russia they would have just put a bullet behind the right ear.
I mean, yeah, that's true. So you're seeing a lot of countries like that kind of rise up out of the ashes. Mm-hmm. And so when people are feeling apprehensive to stuff like cryptocurrency, I think that a lot of that is driven by our government, because they're hearing all these negative things and they're like, well, it's fraudulent, it's all these things. And it's like, I mean, crypto has like 0.0, I think it's like 0.007% of fraud on it, where even regular currency is like 3%. So it's not even a full percentage.
What fraud are they talking about?
Like just any kind of bad money movement fraud, whether it's, sanction related or people are stealing it or whatever it is. It's nothing compared to what normal money is. And that's at scale. Like, okay, it's not as widely adopted, but even if it was widely adopted, it would not have as many bad things to it. So what you're seeing is the government does realize that there is control in controlling the money from the population. And so that's why they're so against it right now, is because they will lose control over the people if they lose control of the money.
Yeah, and let's remember, half of that fraud is the government saying someone's doing something we don't like.
And when you categorize something as a bad thing...
Like for here in Utah, say someone in California buys a 11-round magazine.
Mm-hmm. That's a bad thing, right?
That's considered fraud. Some of that fraud, I 100% support.
How about Bibles in North Korea? Did you know that people are buying Bibles in North Korea with Bitcoin?
No, I didn't.
That's fraud. That's bad stuff because it's against the law.
Because in laws, like while I'm not an anarchist, right? So overall, fairly progressive, I would say like nonpartisan. You guys see some of those libertarian leanings. You see some of the right and the left come out. But laws at the end of the day are other people's opinions, right? And not all laws are good. And, at the same time, not all laws are bad either.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I do happen to believe that, say, someone in Chicago preaching that everyone else should take their guns away so they can live a peaceful life like those in Chicago do. I believe those people are, dare I say, retarded.
Delusion. Retardation is you're missing a chromosome or something.
See, I knew you guys were going to bring up the gun conversation, because that was what you texted me about recently, right?
Well, I gave you some advice, that's all.
You gave me I think it was solid advice, but I think from that conversation, what I found is we probably have a lot in common. Like for me, I'm not against guns. I think that they have a tool, a purpose, a time, everything like that. Like I grew up in a military family. So for me, guns are tools, not toys, right? And they should be respected. And also in the military, you should be held accountable if you, lose your gun or you do something with it. Do you disagree?
When you say accountable.
Yeah. What is accountability?
Like you're running away from the bad guy or getting mortared and you have to jump out of the truck and your gun falls off. The commander shouldn't send you back outside to go find that missing round because it wasn't accounted for. There's a leniency that you have to acknowledge when it comes to.
So you're talking about the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law.
I guess. Sure. But
I
think if I own a hammer, I should never use it to initiate violence, and neither should you. A hammer should be used to properly hammer things in. A gun is to be used to protect yourself from oppression. Properly.
I mean, I almost felt like what you were going to say is a gun should be properly used to kill things in that moment, but you didn't.
In the need that you need to kill something to defend yourself, yes.
Well, you can shoot across the bow if you want to.
Okay,
no, you cannot.
So I would like to...
As a gun trainer, no, you cannot. You shoot it, you buy it. That's what they say.
According to the law. In reality, I'm sure
okay,
there's been many warning shots.
Let's say you shoot a warning shot up in the air and it comes down and hits a baby in a stroller.
Oh, that would be terrible.
You buy it.
You buy the child?
You never release a round if you do not know where it's going to stop.
So I have a question for you, something that I'm genuinely curious about, right? Because I like to have discussions out in the open. So how does accountability look when you are a gun owner and your child takes your gun? What does accountability look like in those scenarios?
You mean if a child takes your gun and through negligence, leave your gun out on the counter and the child gets a hold of it? And shoots their friend.
Okay.
One, in the state of Utah, negligent discharge is a felony.
For the child or for the parent?
I think that should apply to the parent.
Okay.
I believe there would be an age range where it would pass over, say, 18. Because up until that point, legal responsibilities of that child are the parents anyways.
So you're saying that if a child acquires a weapon, right, and that weapon was fired, they acquired your weapon and that weapon was fired at somebody else, that the parent should be held responsible?
Or what if that weapon was fired in the house and did damage across the street?
It would still be certainly the parent's responsibility. So
still a negligent discharge.
Right.
Which still in Utah can be up to a felony. That person would be responsible for the damage.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you?
What about a nail gun?
It's the same concept though, isn't it?
We got to understand though, look, shit's going to happen in life. You got guns so that you don't end up in special Jewish showers getting gassed by oppressive governments.
Special Jewish showers. I see. Okay. I'm following.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Clever way to put that.
That is the worst case scenario. And the best way to defend against that worst case scenario is an ounce of prevention. And yes, that ounce of prevention does come at a cost. There's going to be negligent releases of lead. There's going to be, if you don't protect your children like you do an IRS building, you're going to have school shootings nowadays. So, and all that blood sacrifice for the future will pay off if we don't end up in a Adolf Hitler type utopian future where the government has removed our weaponry and capacity to fight back. If they ever do, in America especially, because we have the most powerful military on the planet, if they can get a hold of that military without our say in what they do with it, they can actually roll over the planet, and it'll be like playing a game of Risk with me. It'll be ugly. You will not be able to stop what happens in the future if they have control of this military. And the only way that they don't have control of this military is if we can somehow have teeth as a peasantry.
So I have two questions for you then. So one, and this is why don't we lean into technology? Right? When we talk about an ounce of prevention, we now have technology, and it's not like the technology that we remember back in 2006, 2007 when it comes to biometrics and everything. It's like 99.999 something % accurate on whether or not that gets unlocked, right? Whether it's through fingerprint or some otherwise.
You mean using a weapon that can be that biometrically or however scans you before it can fire?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You know one way I train?
Okay.
Loss of digit or hand.
I think that there's a couple of different ways that you could go about that, because it's not just, it could be like your biometric matter, right? There's over 2,000 data points on you and your body. Like it doesn't necessarily just have to be fingerprint. It could be DNA or something like that, and your DNA is even on the samples of your hand. Or, like there's a lot of options there.
Can you foresee a chance that it wouldn't work?
Immediately off the top of my head, no. And the reason is because I work with this technology.
What if you sustain a second-degree burn?
Are you going to be firing a weapon while you're receiving a second? Like, how do you train for a second degree burn and responding?
Well, could it after a second degree burn?
After, yes. But if you're trying to do it while you have a second degree burn, I would just take care of yourself first.
Would it still be able to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's not a concern on that
That's
level.
what's held that back, is that negation of that. And then also you want to take into account that maybe you get a home defense firearm. So you train train your wife, train your children.
Yeah.
There's been just last year, multiple underage kids. We're talking 14 and below that defended their home with a firearm successfully.
So I think that this brings up an interesting topic. So you can have it to where you as a parent control the settings and access that you're willing to allow your children to do, which is your right as a parent anyways. You control their internet, you control their like TV intake, you control like what foods they eat, right? To try and teach them the right thing to do. So I think that would be there. But I do have one more question. I know we're running out of time, and I know that we promised we would stick to the timeline today, right?
Okay.
Because you had something else.
I enjoy the conversation. We're talking guns. I'm in.
Oh no, I love it too. So here's my second question on this, right? So we hear about the government coming in and taking over stuff, and keep in mind, like, I look at things incredibly objectively, right? So super objectively, and the only people that I've really seen recently use the government for their own stuff or even come close, because I spent a portion of my childhood in Germany, right? I know what the neo-Nazis say. I know how they act. I know what they do. And when I start to see behaviors like that in the United States, it's very concerning to me, because it just rings of exactly what Europe went through. And I would say that easily since 2016, we've been experiencing this. So who is the government in this scenario? And if the government is like, I'm just going to say, I don't see Biden pulling up a military and commanding it to go out and to like cause an uproar, because I haven't seen that from him, but I have seen that from President Trump.
Really? When did Trump pull the military and go?
Well, so there's a couple of ones that are sticking out to me immediately. So and this one isn't military. This one is just call to action. I think that January 6th was like, love it or hate it, I think that was very alarming, right? Because people did show up with their weapons. They were an angry crowd, and it's come out through all the information, everything, that like it was every intent to seize the nation at whatever means possible. So
I don't see how anyone could think that would have seized the nation.
So seize the White House, like create war. It was not a friendly act.
Sure, it wasn't friendly, but how can you call that an insurrection?
I didn't even say that word. I just said it was alarming.
That's what you said, seize the nation. That's an insurrection.
So, I mean, if that's the case.
I'm just going definitionally.
But
how could they say they took over the House? Took it over. Say they took it over. And
I think it would be through a violent means.
Sure. And to this day, they still occupied it.
I don't think that they would still occupy it.
Let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Would it have changed any of our government? Say the Congress said, no, give it to them. Would it change our government today at all? So
really quick, what I'm saying here is that the goal was to seize government. It was merely the action. Do I think they would have been successful? No. Nothing that you said there I don't think would have happened.
I think it was a retarded act.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would say that it was a very poor decision making. But the other half of this is, Trump during the BLM riots, which honestly, like saying, hey, it's really terrible that, you passed away, right? Like, regardless of everything else that came with it, it would have been the right thing to just say, hey, I'm really sorry. And it could have prevented everything else that happened. So he called in, the military, the National Guard, and started to use force on that level. So when we talk...
No, he never once called in the military, the National Guard. He wanted to on January 6th.
This isn't January 6th. This is BLM riots.
During the BLM riots, he called in the U.S. Marshals.
Oh, the Marshals. My bad. Okay,
so
you're right.
You're right.
Why? No, I totally agree, because the entire place was being ransacked and it was violent.
It was one reason.
They were firebombing.
What was it?
Courthouse firebombing. And that is why.
Let's see here.
Yeah,
That is exactly why.
For fire damage. But so really quick
They
though.
didn't even call him in when they chased him to the presidential bunker and set the chapel there in D.C. on fire. Do you know that?
I didn't. But I think that that's really, so I'm not.
Now, but let me explain to you what has happened.
Have
I
you
didn't
seen
want-
any
I
other
didn't
president?
want this to be a contentious one. Yes, I would say right now our Department of Justice has acted awful erratically, such as going to a preacher's house and arresting him with the SWAT team in front of his kids. This is a preacher.
But why did they do that? Can you pull
Because-
that up on the internet?
Because
he could have used like magic and cursed them.
Because he spoke out against abortion. But this Justice Department has been awful heavy on wanting to use the SWAT team for the visuals.
Okay. So I think that keep in mind, I'm not a supporter of Biden, nor am I a supporter
I
of
know.
Trump, right? But so when we look at this, like, and to be fair, right, I have kind of taken a step back during my no media hiatus. But when I look at things that it's very alarming to me that people would use this in the first place. And I'm seeing more violence from certain groups than other groups, right? So when we say, the government's going to come in and take over, like, who exactly is that supposed to be? That's really what I'm trying to understand.
These guys right here, there's a picture of them right there. They're coming in to go get that priest, and he's not going to be able to
So if we scroll down, what does it say though?
use his holy water.
Alleged violations of freedom to. So is this the guy that was attacking people when they were going in?
I don't see priests attacking people.
I'm pretty sure I have seen.
Even if he was.
I have seen religious leaders attack people on the streets as they go to these clinics with videos. And
You know
stuff.
all the damage lately that has
Yeah.
come. All the damage. Remember the big story, the Target bomb threat over the anti-trans Target backing off the trans stuff.
which is really sad.
Here in Utah,
Yeah.
you know who the bomb threat came from?
No, tell me.
The trans community.
Did it really?
Yeah,
How do we know that?
because it came out.
So, as we go through this, right? I think that
Why
we
do
can.
you think this is one thing you got to pay attention?
Okay.
If the media puts it out and then shuts the fuck up about it 6 hours later, it didn't meet their narrative.
Okay, so looking at this, I think we can agree that both sides of the extreme are very, very poorly behaved people.
Oh, yeah. The messaging
and
is
it's
awful.
disgusting. It's disgusting at this point.
Yeah, but there's three parts to this equation. Like, you can have the will, you can have the resources, and you can have the ability, and that will equal accomplishment. But if you're looking at like neo-Nazis, they don't have the resources. They might have the will, but they don't have the ability. If you're looking at the government and
They
the
almost
lizard
don't
people,
exist anymore.
the lizard people have the will. The lizard people have the resources.
are we
and
really
the lizard
ta-
people have the ability.
Who are the lizard people?
Those guys at Davos and the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I have to ask.
And no, if you
Wait,
rip
do we
their-
really
yeah.
believe in lizard people?
I just like the term. I've heard some like politicians using it, and it just stuck. But you know what?
I think that it was facetious, though.
Yeah, sure. I know, but maybe it'll.
I mean,
it'll
we know
stick.
that there are aliens, right?
Do we?
Yeah. Did you see what happened in Congress recently?
You don't think that
Yesterday?
guy was just crazy?
Or is there something else going on that they want us to not pay attention to?
I think that it could be that.
Yeah.
I think, is he crazy? I think people see what they see and they try and make the most sense of it as they can. Do I think that there's, extraterrestrial life? I think it's conceited to say that
There you
there's
go.
only human life.
Right there. There's the bomb threat message. Accused target of betraying the LGBTQ plus community. It was. Why do you
Wait,
think
so
it
you pull this
disappeared?
from the Washington Post?
You can find it everywhere. It was well known. They reported it
Democracy
about
dies in
4
darkness.
hours after, and then never spoke about it again.
See, I have to look through all this
Go ahead.
news to see what's going
Please.
on. I mostly listen to just congressional hearings,
Please
but this is
double-check me.
interesting.
Please double check me. Please.
Please. Okay. I'm always happy to.
But yeah, when you evaluate these groups, January, just keep those three
It's
variables
all-
in mind.
well-
It's
Okay.
ability, resources, and
Means, motive, opportunity.
Means, motive, opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Without each one of those pillars, you can't succeed.
So I just want to push on this a little bit more. So what makes you think that these groups don't have means?
I think they don't have numbers. I remember the 1980s.
Money,
then they had
numbers. You don't got them.
Then they had numbers. They had big numbers in the 80s. Elohim City, all that shit, they had big numbers. And we moved past that. I think the majority of the population moved past that.
Right.
The majority of the population is like, I don't have time to be prejudiced. I don't have time for that dog shit. Yeah, you still have some simpletons out there. I would honestly say most of them are just YouTubers that seek clout, but they just don't. It's all BS. I think right now we've watched the pendulum swing to the far left, which is why we see this radical stuff where a SWAT team goes after an anti-abortion preacher because of a speech he gave in front of an abortion clinic.
Do we have video on that? That's really what I would like to see.
Look it up. Go ahead. We don't have time to look up a video.
That's true.
But please look it up. Verify me. But that's the things we're seeing. I mean, look at what the Department of Justice just tried handing some sweetheart deal to Hunter Biden. And it was the judge. He had like immunity
on something weird, right?
Future immunity. Like we're investigating something, but we give him future immunity. So
nobody should be immune, though.
But the problem is everything's gone political. Now, I don't know if
that's wrong.
I don't know if you remember the early 2000s when the Republicans kind of went radical with the Bible in schools, right? Do you remember that?
When Bibles were...
When they wanted in biology class... what was it? Intellect or design, evolutionary design to be taught. Remember that?
Yes.
And you remember it got shut down in the Supreme Courts. That was the last gasp of the Republican or of the conservative struggle. And now we've gone to this hard progressive struggle where they're pushing things to the extremes, where governments are trying to get involved in things that honestly,
the government shouldn't be involved in a lot. And the other thing is I don't think that everybody is conservative is religious. And so I think that that's a super important piece to parse out. I would be considered
conservative on most of my aspects, and I'm an atheist.
Right, but not religious, right?
I know, I'm an atheist. I am an atheist.
Sorry, so atheist. So you're an atheist, but like sometimes when we look at this stuff, I feel like there's a religious side, there's the conservative side, and then, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of things that liberals do that just outrage me as well. Sure. Right. And it's like, why are you guys doing this? Like, how did you get to be this way? And that's a lot of the way that I feel there.
I think what you see is I believe in the political pendulum. And I believe that the 90s was a beautiful center point.
Why do you think the 90s was beautifully centered?
Oh, the 90s were awesome.
Because in the news, it wasn't like every issue wasn't declared the race in the first sentence.
So you mean
whether it's a movie or the sex, it was like, hey, this person did this.
They hadn't found out how to hack the human psyche to get them to pay attention as much, and that's what you liked about the 90s.
It could be,
maybe,
or maybe. We didn't care as much because I didn't. I just didn't. I didn't care what race you were or what sex you were if you made an achievement.
Right.
But now that's all anyone cares about. And it's forced. It's contrived.
I think that the majority of that conversation has become so inflamed. Right. It's become so inflamed. I think that's the best way to put it. I can definitely see like where people are dismissed because of their race. I can also see where people are dismissed because of their gender. And at some point, if you invite me back, there's something that I think...
We are going to invite you back. We love having you on.
I hope so. I'll try and bring another drink next time.
Seriously.
Maybe that's like better prepared. Maybe one that I practice first.
But no, I want, and message him, tell him we're going to be 5 minutes late because we have a lot of comments and I want her to be a part of this. But now, granted, most of our conversation's conservative. And yes, Fred, I'm going to extend the offer. Why don't you come to one of our gun trainings? Come to one of and see what.
Why? So I can outshoot you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please
All right.
come.
All right.
It's a 2-day course.
It's
20 hours and it will kick your ass.
I mean, I've certainly grown up around guns, so it's nothing new to me.
Good.
But so something that I do want to talk about at some point is really the disservice that's been done to like men in this day and age. Like when next time we get together, I really want to talk about this because there's a couple of different levels and layers to it. So we know that a disservice has been done to persons of color and women, and there's a societal structure that we've been put in place and all this harm. And then at the same time, and this is why people like Andrew Tate are coming up so quickly, is because we've also done a disservice to men. So I do want to talk about that in the future, but let's certainly go ahead
and Vivek Ramaswamy. I agree. I would like to see those two guys do something. Anyways, all right.
Fred.
Parents are king.
Agreed.
What weapons did they show up with?
When we say they, I'm assuming that we're talking about
January 6ers.
The January 6ers. So as far as I saw...
We do know one pistol was taken from the outside and it was being held by
I don't know.
ATF agent.
Okay. So you have that, but... When we talk about weapons,
he was an ATF agent out of uniform, but carrying his badge, but he wasn't wearing his his ATF uniform. You know, the windbreaker with ATF on the back, and he was outside. Yes,
I'm sure we could find out what weapons they showed up with, but I think what's more concerning to me is, and I've said this before, we watched a police officer get beaten pretty much to death with an American flag. And that was horrific for me to watch. Like I watched that live on Twitter. It was sickening. So when we talk about weapons, they brought things to cause harm, whatever they may have been. I mean, Donald Trump says that a can of soup is now a weapon. So, you know, there's that.
It's funny. I wonder how they pin it on Trump sending them there when he was still giving his speech a half hour into them entering.
I think
but that's neither here nor there. Right. I'll let other people dig up that timeline.
Of course.
But yes,
so let's go ahead and scroll down.
The one weapon we know that was brought there was an ATF agent out marching around. And it's come out. There were quite a few more.
Was he upset?
There were quite a few more operators in the crowd.
And I will say this, a friend of mine was at January 6th, and I won't reveal who he is, but he said while they were singing the national anthem, they were being shot with pepper ball type weaponry.
I mean, there was a lot of people that showed up there, and they weren't exactly being friendly.
I'm the type of person, I want all of us to turn our back on Washington, D.C. and pay attention to our state houses. I think that's more important. But that's just me.
So I'm reading Fred's next comment.
I agree. And if you come to the shooting course, he's one of the instructors.
Oh, cool. I look forward to meeting him
in person. He's a great dude. I agree. It's egregious to that people, in a disrespecting manner, entered the Capitol illegally to protest. I was not happy that the Capitol Police didn't do their job and stop them. They allowed them in. Putting people in federal custody was way more than is reasonable. And there's a big argument about putting them in solitary confinement for over 2 years. Is that
solitary confinement? That's inhumane.
Yeah,
that's inhumane,
and that's something you ought to look into. But
especially the guy who put his feet up on Nancy's
desk.
I'm
looking forward to responding to this next comment from Fred.
Okay, all right. Only the ones who are poorly behaved.
Oh, the one after.
There are extreme people who don't act upon it.
Yeah.
Okay, Fred. I am an older, white, straight, male, Christian, Republican, gun-owning, retired cop. Does that make me racist? I'm called a white nationalist. What does white mean? What does nationalist mean? And how does that make me racist?
Okay, so Fred, you being an older, white, straight, male, Christian, Republican, gun-owning, retired cop does not make you a racist. What makes people racist?
You a sexy bastard.
That's
my Barbie drink talking. Sorry, Fred.
It was a good drink.
I'm
it was
nervous.
A good drink.
I keep waiting. I don't have glitter on me.
There's nothing on you. There's no glitter, nothing to be afraid of.
Next time, make this drink for your friends and don't squirt the glitter. Go straight up.
Well, so it just has this little thing here.
You got to aerosolize.
Okay, but I want to answer.
Okay.
I want to answer
Yes.
Fred's question because I think that this is important. So the answer is no. None of those things make you a racist, and anybody that says that is wrong. Right? Like that is incorrect. That's not accurate. Like we cannot just group people in with poor acting. Citizens, I guess that's the best word that's coming to mind. What does make us, whether it happens to be racist or misogynist or homophobic or transphobic or whatever it happens to be, is our behavior and our actions and the things that we say towards other people. And that's the reality. So you are defined by your actions. You're not defined by, the color of your skin or your profession.
You got to also think, I think we're all racist to some degree, if that is the definition of racism. If judging people and having a critique of their style of existence is racist, then we are all racist.
Well,
So I would say Trevor Lee is racist.
That depends on if you're judging a whole group.
So you have to be able to statistically analyze, like all tigers may bite you to a 90th percentile. I mean,
Sure.
that's just part of our existence
Sure,
as
but-
biologicals.
I mean, I don't feel that with any group of people, I don't think. I mean, okay, here's a couple things that might sound racist.
Okay.
I think, pound for pound, the Vietnamese and the Taliban are the
Wait,
best
do I want to be a
fighters.
part of this
No, they're the
conversation?
best
I'm kind of
fighters
worried.
on
You
Earth.
have me frightened.
They're the best fighters on Earth.
Don't be frightened, January.
Okay.
I mean, and maybe I shouldn't say the Taliban. I should just say Afghanistani people.
Do you really think? I mean, I don't know.
But look at their track record.
The Japanese barely ever surrendered in World War II. Ever.
Sure, but the Vietnamese were. I mean, not only did they fight off the Japanese, then they fought off the French, then us, then the Cambodians, then the Chinese twice. Those guys are tough. And then Afghanistan, it's called the graveyard of empires for a reason. I mean, it beat Alexander the Great.
We're
Yes.
we're definitely
Anyways,
running over time. I'm so
okay.
sorry.
Jimmy Hansen, good luck, January. Also, aliens are definitely real. With the vastness of the universe, galaxy, it makes sense. Yes, I agree. It would be impossible for our universe to not have other intelligent lives in it. I also believe it would be improbable for any of that other life to find its way here under the current physics that we understand it.
Yeah. And really quick, I do want to give a call out to Jimmy Hansen, James Hansen.
Yeah.
He ran for U.S. Senate last time. And as far as candidates went, he was probably the most authentic candidate that I met on, there were a handful, but he was certainly up there.
And he was
as
our favorite conversation that we had.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Not me. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, I mean, no, I just dug him. I mean, he's just such a he's
Such a racist thing to say.
no, he's just such a
What? Oh, no, he's okay.
he's
That's
such
a
a
joke.
pleasant fellow. He really just is.
Yeah,
Just
he is.
really pleasant and earnest.
Absolutely.
All right, last comment, Fred. There's an inmate in the Tooele County Jail right now in federal custody with his case pending for his January 6 violations. Are we talking about Owens? Jaden Owen? What's his name?
Oh, is it Jaden?
What's his
Oh,
name?
is he in jail?
No way.
Next.
Jaden X.
No way. Okay. So, fun fact.
Oh, no,
No,
different
no.
cat.
No.
okay.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been most wonderful. Like,
Yeah,
I know
always.
that our conversation was less directed around the race, but I always enjoy your thoughts.
I
so-
want to have you come in without another long one so we can draw it out 2 hours and really
Oh.
dig in.
How long can you go, January? How long do you think you can go?
How long can I talk?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say I can talk all day.
You've done 2 hours on this show.
Yeah,
so.
but I can do 2 hours if that's what we're looking
That's
at.
easy.
But we should definitely time box it. But there's a couple of things that I want to wrap up and
Yes,
just say about
please.
the race, right? If that's okay.
Go for it.
So first of all, I believe that we require options right now. And I hope that people would step outside of themselves, just like I analyze every single candidate by their policies, their positions, their history, what they've done, what they're saying. And it was really hard for me to break free of the parties because that was a method of control over me and my decisions. I hope that our voters here would do that. I also hope that, if anybody has questions, like just reach out. We have phone lines up and running. We have, emails. You can follow us on any platform and we'll go through and just make sure that we're responding to you and answering those things because, your questions deserve to be answered. And even if we don't get elected this time, which it takes a long time to build a movement, we're coming back repeatedly year after year. And it's not just one and done. It's constantly moving upward and spreading the message of hope to people to give them an opportunity to control their government.
I like it. I liked all the different voices at the election party I went to, all the different thoughts and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I just wandered around and chatted with people all night.
There's
It
a
was
vast
awesome.
group in that.
Oh, it's
There's
crazy.
from libertarians to
Yeah,
Green
there's-
Party.
yeah.
I haven't met any socialists. Some people that are Democrats, some that are Republicans.
You get them from all stripes. Okay.
Okay,
Before
thank
we
you.
let you go, one thing, plug your stuff. Where can they come to find you? Where can they hunt you down?
How can you find me?
You make TikToks
Where can they buy a
and
drink from
Twitter.
you?
Yeah,
and
how you
your
can get a drink
website
from me?
and everything.
So you can just find me at Utah Politician on any of my handles. My website, you can just find me at utahpolitician.com. It'll direct you to everything. And also on LinkedIn at just January Walker.
All right, perfect.
Thank
Everyone, of course, that'll all be in the show notes. I'll track down as many links as I can get to throw in there. But thanks for joining us, everyone. It's been January
Thanks,
Walker.
January.
Yeah, thank you.
She's awesome, awesome candidate, awesome lady, and a very good friend of the show. And we'll be back on in just a few minutes with who's next?
Katie, she's trying to stop cancer.
Katie. So we're going to be fighting cancer tonight.
Oh, that's cool.
We're doing the Lord's work. There it is. All right, guys. We'll see you in a minute.
Perfect. Thanks.